So I'm looking at our list of safeties. We all agree that Tyler Nuban out of Minnesota is safety one. Javon Bullard is safety slash Nick two for all of us. And then things get crazy. So it's safety three. Rick BMAC has Cam Kitchens. You have Cole Bishop. I have Jaden Hicks. So the aggregate rankings ends up being, of course, Kaylin Bullock out of USC. And then it's Jaden Hicks, Cole Bishop, and Cam Kitchens to wrap things out. So, BMAC, I'll come to you as our guest. We'll start with Tyler, and then we'll get through these guys. We got about 15 minutes here. He is long. He didn't run as fast as I was hoping. I liked a lot of things he did in center field. Where are you going to play him at the next level, and how high are you thinking about drafting a Tyler Nuban?
I'm gonna play him in the post.
Okay.
I'm gonna play him in the post, and the reason why is because I think he's the best traffic cop amongst all the safeties. And what I mean when I say that, he's a guy who can direct traffic, keep everything in front of him, and just direct traffic. Great communicator. You can tell his above the shoulder game is where it needs to be, playing the safety position. He might not be one of the best athletes at that position, but heck, I played with a guy in Ryan Clark who was never the best athlete, but he was super smart, super instinctive, and tough. And he was a guy who was a great traffic cop for what we did in our defense in the secondary. And Tyler reminds me, he has some of those same skill sets. So I will play him in the post. And as he continues to progress and understand the NFL game, I think he's going to excel. His game reminds me a lot of Justin Simmons. You know, a kid who came into the National Football League. People kind of had some concerns athletically about what he could do. And because of his ability and knowing his strength, he's been having a great career, you know, exceeding the expectations, in my opinion, when you look at what he's done. So Tyler reminds me a lot of Justin.
Probably day two guy, right? He's not going to go in round one. I don't think we're having any safeties in round one.
No. We might not see a safety get drafted, and Rick, correct me if I'm wrong, probably until maybe the closer to the end of the second round, probably.
Yeah, I had him top 10 to bottom 10 of the second round, somewhere in the middle of second round.
Okay. All right. What was your comp for Tyler Nuban, Rick? You okay with Justin Simmons, or do you have another guy in mind?
Okay, you know, and I was just listening to BMAC describe smart, headsy. I just don't know if this guy can run. If someone gets on top of him, he's going to be able to turn his hips and stay in a foot race down the field. But playing deep, directing traffic, football intelligence off the charts, getting jump, anticipating throws, because he does have really good ball production, reacting to everything underneath. He reminded me a little bit of Harrison Smith when he came out of Notre Dame.
Oh, now you're going back to the cheat sheet. See, he spent all these hundreds of thousands of dollars evaluating these guys. He's got the built-in comps already. I don't have any.
Hey, Rick, he ain't as tough as Harrison Smith.
No, but this kid will hit. But when you described football intelligence, playing everything in front, getting jump on throws, the production he's had on the ball, everything describes Harrison Smith. But Harrison Smith will whack you now.
Who drafted Harrison Smith to Minnesota?
Yeah, I can't remember.
And you know what happened? They didn't talk to him all pre-draft process. They were trying to keep it on the hush-hush, and it worked out for them.
Last time we talked to Harrison Smith was at the Senior Bowl. Never heard from us again until we moved up, and I traded up to go get him in the first round.
Slick Rick. All right, Rick. Javon Bullard, a guy we talked about in the summer. You turned me on to him then, and he ran a 4.47. I think he plays that fast. Some folks don't. I don't know where you are on his game speed, but I love his game, and I love the way he plays, even if he has head undersized.
You talking to me or BMAC?
You. That's why I said Rick. So you go ahead, or you can sit there, whichever one you want to do.
Yeah, I'm just going to say this guy is just a very good football player. This guy is physical. The thing that I noticed down at the Senior Bowl is when you get him in one-on-one situations, his athletic limitations may show up a little bit. But when it's a team period, this dude is when the lights come on. So don't judge him on one-on-ones. When you see him out at OTAs the first time, he's in one-on-one drills, you're going to say, like, God, what the hell we just draft? But you put him when an 11-on-11 starts, and anytime, this guy is a baller, because I think he could play Nick. I think he can play some probably from the free safety. He, to me, is a poor man's Brian Branch without the athleticism that Brian had.
So let me ask you this. Let's say you equally need a nickelback and you equally need a post safety. Who are you taking first, Tyler or Javon?
Javon.
Yeah, Nuban.
Oh, okay. All right. Because
I'm taking Javon.
I like Javon too. I'm a Javon fan. I like Tyler a lot, but I like the edge with Bullard plays. Who is your comp for Javon Bullard, B-Mac?
CJ Gardner-Johnson.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
That's a good one.
Oh boy. You get a little Brian Branch, a little CJ Gardner-Johnson, you cooking with gas.
And to piggyback on Rick's point about Javon not excelling in one-on-one situations, but excelling in team situations, that tells me he knows his role.
And
yeah, and he's smart. You know how playing basketball, you might not be a good player in one-on-one games and you always losing, but when it's 5-on-5, you know your role, you know where you need to be, and you get others involved and you take advantage of the opportunities. And when I watch his tape, I love his game. And one thing I know about, it's the same when you talk about secondary players coming from Alabama under Saban. When you get a secondary player coming from Kirby Smart playing in that Georgia system, they're coached the right way.
Same tree.
And Kirby coached me my junior year at Florida State. He was the corners coach for me. So he's a guy who understands the secondary play like no other, being a former defender in the secondary and, of course, being coached amongst some of the greats. So I don't question guys who play in the secondary too much when they come from programs like Alabama under Saban and programs like Georgia. And Javon is another, testament to that.
Yeah, to your point about one-on-one versus 5-on-5 basketball, like my thing, Rick, was setting picks and getting rebounds. You can't set picks in one-on-one. You got to know your role. You got to wait till your teammates get out there to help them out because you got to know your role.
I don't know if you can set picks either, but we'll just move on.
You tell me, Rick.
I would love for you to try to set a pick on me just one time. I would beg for that.
Hey, but B-Mac, here's what you need to know about Rick. He's a big pickleball player now that he's retired down in West Florida.
Yep.
He was playing doubles against his wife, and he's hitting lasers at his wife, hitting her with the ball. That's the kind of guy Rick is. So, of course, he's going to run over me if I'm setting
He's a winner. He want to win by any means necessary.
I said, "Hun, what do you want me to do? Lose the game? If you want to play, we're going out to play and win. If you're on the opposite side, you're getting pelted with the ball."
And you were saying that from the yard when you weren't allowed in the house that night, weren't you?
Yeah.
I was trying to win.
Yeah. Sorry for being competitive. My fault.
And this, boys and girls, is how you found your perfect match for life. Man, you should write a book, Rick. All right, next up, Kaylin Bullock out of USC. 6'2", 188 is what he came in at. He looks thin when you see him on tape. He ran a 4.48. I appreciate his willingness to come downhill and try to make plays, but he's just not wrapping up. Now, you're shaking your head, B-Mac, and last year you liked the Boise State safety. Remember him? I can't remember his name. The Boise State safety. The tall kid. What's his name?
Skinner.
Yeah. I like Kaylin way more than Skinner in terms of his ability to at least try to tackle. But you're shaking your head. Why are you shaking your head?
I don't see that. When you play safety, you got to be willing to bite. Playing corner and being a willing participant, teams can kind of tolerate that because you're playing corner. But you can't be a willing participant playing safety. Like that those two don't mesh. Now, for me, it's just a lack of effort. I think when you look at some of the missed tackles from Kaylin, it's almost like he assuming just because I make contact, these guys are going to go down instead of really wrapping them up and getting them down. And those are missed tackles that would drive coordinators crazy. Heck, they'll drive fans crazy when you have them right here in your grasp, but then you just assume they're automatically going to go down and not put up a fight, and they run through your arms. So that's my issue with Kaylin. I was surprised to see what that 4.4 he ran.
Yeah.
That right there surprised me. I'm like, oh, okay. And he's going to get drafted. He's going to be in a good situation, but you got to be willing to stick your face in the fan, as we used to say in Pittsburgh, at any given time. And I'm talking about one of those fans where you take the cover off. You remember the old fans?
No protective cover.
You got to be willing to stick your face in that type fan when you're playing, in the secondary, you playing defense, because you got to be able to throw it off. That's a responsibility for you. And that's what I need from Kaylin. Be willing to stick your face, take that shield off that fan and stick your face in that fan.
So, Rick, you had him, you and B-Mac both had him as your safety 4. I had him as my safety 3. Is he a day 2 guy, or is he going to have to wait?
Ooh. I had him 3rd to 4th round.
Okay, So he may have to wait a little bit.
Yeah, but I'll just say this. Agree 1,000% with the tackling and willing participant at times. But the one thing this guy does have, he does have very good ball skills. You're ready for this one? So I'm going to go out on a limb here in my pro comp. Not as fast, but if you played, this guy played at Florida, played 20 yards deep, had a really good career at Cincinnati. Wasn't a willing participant in run support coming out of Florida State. Got
Reggie?
better. Reggie
Nelson?
Yeah.
Okay. How you like that, B-Mac? You okay with that?
Reggie Nelson. I got one. Reggie Nelson was a ball hawk, though. He made some plays.
This guy makes plays with the ball in the air now.
Yeah. I got for me, Kaylin reminds me a lot of Grant Delpit.
Oh
boy. He's got
Delpit's a little bit more physical, wasn't he, when he came out?
No, remember when he came out, they had some concerns about his tackling.
And he was hurt too, and he didn't have a great final year.
Shoulder issues or something like that.
Yeah. How about this one? How about who is playing good in Detroit right now, Kirby Joseph?
Rick, I said that comp in the fall, and you yelled at me. I have it written down right here.
No, are you what? Say it.
Which part? What don't you like about that, B-Mac? Finally, I get one right.
Saying, you said you gave Rick that comp and he didn't like it. Now he likes it.
Oh, that's 100%. Debo played the tape. I'm looking at it right here on my screen. I said I'm not even going to say that out loud because Rick will yell at me. And he just said it, B-Mac. That's the world I live in, the world of fear, Rick, from one moment to the next. I'm staring here at Kirby Joseph. I can't believe you did that to me.
Joseph's a real good player, too, man.
Kirby's a better tackler, too, though, right, Rick?
Yeah.
Yeah. But there was some little bit of issues with his tackling coming out of Illinois.
Yeah,
he was a converted receiver, I believe.
Coaching.
He never ran through the pre-draft process either, so there's no times on him, which teams had questions about. All right, we got a few minutes left here. B-Mac, you can hit. Let's hit you guy Cam Kitchens, because Rick and I talked to him. We liked him, and then he ran in the 4.6s, and we had some questions about that. But Cam out of the U, tell us about him.
Yeah, if I'm talking about a player that played for Miami, I kind of like his game.
You have to.
That's what it boils down to. Yeah, he disappointed a lot of folks with that 4.65 in Indy. He ran better at his pro day in Miami. But I just love the fluidness that he has in his pedal. He's a hezzy player, has made a lot of plays. Didn't have a lot going right for him in their defense, but he made a lot of plays. He tackles well as well. You might have concerns when you talk about the overall top end speed, but I think if he goes into the right system, Rick, where he can kind of be that traffic cop because he's very, very smart, he can excel. He reminds me a little bit of Malik Hooker.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, reminds me a little bit of Malik Hooker. Malik was faster, a little better athlete, of course. But when you look at Cam and his back pedal, see, that's the thing I love about safeties. When I watch these kids play, not at the combine, because at the combine you're forced to back pedal, but let me see the natural mindset to backpedal in games and do so while staying square and not turning your butt to the sideline. Right. That's one thing I don't like when you talk about coaching. Corners that play with their butt to the sideline, not in a fluid position to backpedal, and the same can be said for safeties. He's a square backpedaler type guy, and his plant drive is real smooth. And if you have those things playing the safety position, everything else we can coach when it comes to proper angles and things like that. That's another thing I love about his game, proper angles. Javon Holland, who plays for Miami, when I watched him come out of Oregon, he was the best angle defender in college football. Because if you utilize angles, you don't have to be a 4.3 or 4.4. You will be where you need to be because you understand angles, and Cam has a little bit of that in his game as well.
Who's your comp real quick?
Who, me?
Did you give you said Malik? Yeah. Do you have a comp?
Malik Hooker. Yep.
The thing I like about this kid is I think he'll try to light you up too. Yep. I think he gets a little out of control at times, but I agree with B-Mac on the angles. And if you're in his tracks, you're going to feel him. Mm-hmm. I think he has a little stiffness to him if he has to turn his hips and anything behind him. But I think coming in everything in front of him is transition or laterally is good. But I just think if there's anything behind him, he has to play. That was a tough comp for me a little bit. So I had to go back to my Rolodex of guys that we had in Minnesota.
Oh boy.
he reminded me a little bit of Andrew Sendejo.
He would hit you.
He would hit you.
Oh my goodness. Oh, but Woody. Friendly fire, he'll hit you and he'll hit his teammate also.
We had more people on injured reserve from Andrew Sendejo hitting them than the opponents.
Yeah. I used to hate them type guys, man. Stop hitting me, man. Stop doing that. Sendeo,
All right, Rick.
Good. Hey, Rick, that's a good name, boy. He would run into you.
Yeah, he would light you up now if you were in his tracks.
Oh.
All right, Rick, we got 1 minute left here. I just want to note that you have Keaton Oladipo at Oregon State on your list. I love him, but I want you to talk quickly about the kid at Bishop out of Utah.
Oh,
we haven't talked a lot about him.
Yeah, I love this kid's style of play too. I think he surprised everybody. I think the way he tested at the combine, the jumps, the 40. This is another guy that probably is going to make his living best close to the line of scrimmage.
Mm-hmm.
Another tone setter on the defensive or in the run support, best in zone coverage. I don't know if he's going to be able to play man, but boy, I thought he can get into and out of his transition, closing underneath. He's going to be one of those guys, if you want to put him on a tight end and have him beat the hell out of the tight end coming up the field in and release, this dude's going to be able to do that. I didn't have a great feel for the way Utah plays their safeties. Didn't have a great feel for him, like in the deep half of the field. But just a guy that I don't want to call him old school, strong safety type. But this guy is really good at the line of scrimmage. The other thing is when they bring him on a blitz, he's going to have an effect on the quarterback because he knows how to come off the edge with his timing and burst. This guy was a really good football player to me. I just don't know how he would play in a deep half of the field because it's hard to get a feel with those Utah safeties.
You have a comp, or you can get a feel for him?
I kind of went back and forth. I had to go deep into the Rolodex on this one too. Craven
Joseph,
when he came out of USC, with Cravens out of USC when he came out of USC, who was kind of a downhill thumper.
Sua.
Yeah.
Wait, who was it?
Sua Cravens.
Oh yeah, wow, that's a deep cut, Rick. All right. Do you have a comp? Have you seen him yet, B-Mac?
Yeah, I seen him. I like that comp. He's what I call a train track defender. He has a beeline. It's not no wiggle. If he has that beeline on you, similar to like Lewis Seen when he came out of Georgia, a train track. He's on a train track and he's straight lining you. And if he has that, whoo, it might be some bills need to be paid.
Some Andrew Sadejo situations.
Yeah, and Sue, if you remember Sua Cravens, he was a train track defender as well.
Yeah, that's what popped into my head.
All right.